Hey, y'all. Welcome and welcome back to another episode of Harrison Talks Pod, episode 39. The Chicago Bulls are off to an exciting start to the season, starting off 5 0, and they are playing as I'm speaking right now. So don't have the results of tonight's game. But they had their best start in 29 years, dating back to Michael Jordan's second three-peat. So today we'll recap why the Bulls are one of the most exciting teams to watch early on this season and the trends that have made them effective early on. After that, we will shift gears to a hot topic segment where I break down four star players that I think should be traded early on this season and why moving these players could reshape the NBA landscape. So let's jump in. Harrison Talks Pod is a part of Side Panel Network, and Side Panel Network is a new project that I am very excited to present to you. If you are a follower of the show, you know that I'm also a part of Nintendo Therapy Podcast. We have shows that come out every Friday or Saturday. I'm on the other side of the world, so not sure exactly which day they come out, but come out once a week, and we're always putting out bonus content on YouTube as well. Uh, Side Panel Network also includes things like my gaming channel, Harrison Plays Games. And we have some other podcasts and projects to show to you very soon, but that's the promo I have for you now. So, again, let's jump in. So we are in week 2 of the NBA season. I had completely forgot that we had NBA Cup games already until I had woken up and just turned on the games for it. Even as the the big NBA fan that I am, that snuck up on me. But I hope everyone had a good Halloween back home. Didn't do anything here in sunny Thailand, just the normal things. But anyways, we did have games on Halloween, so I did that, and we mentioned the Bulls. We're gonna start with them today. The Bulls are playing the Knicks now as I speak. So they are facing the Knicks once again, and they defeated the Knicks on Halloween Day, which means they defeated them 135 to 125, and they started the season 5-0. So it is their best start, as we said at the top, in 29 years since the second three-peat Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls era. So it is exciting to plan these shows every week and not really know what we're going to talk about week to week because I don't remember where I ranked the Bulls exactly, but they were in definitely outside the play-in in my Eastern Conference power rankings. No offense to them. And we're gonna break down why I'm so happy to be wrong about all of this and whether or not they can keep this up. The Eastern Conference is in a very interesting spot right now, and there's even teams like the Indiana Pacers who have had a tough start to this season, yet have had games where I've been very impressed with their play. So, if Halliburton was there, maybe I'm sure it would be a little bit different then. So, they've had early dominance, the Chicago Bulls, that is, on both ends of the ball. So let's talk about that a little bit. In these first 5 games where they've gone 5-0, they've averaged 122.8 points per game on 50% shooting and 40.2% from 3-point range. Their effective field goal percentage sits right at 58%. They're averaging 30.6 assists per game, and their assist to turnover ratio is at 1.9, and their assist ratio is at 70%. So their their ball movement and their team play in the beginning of the season, it's really a team that I need to pay more attention to and try to watch more of their games as they're going on. and as they're playing. So they're definitely a team that I'm paying more attention to now that this uh, this first week of the season is over. So just passing, uh, passing the heck out of that ball. I'm trying to avoid profanity. So, anyways, um, on defense, they're sitting strong at 47 rebounds per games, including 10.2 offensive boards, creating a lot of those second chance opportunities. And on defense, they're allowing just 114 points per game. I say just comparing it to their offense. I didn't look up where they rank currently, but again, 5-0 start. They scored 135 points in their last game, not including tonight. So their defense has improved from last season, and they are forcing 11.6 turnovers per game, which is also creating a lot of scoring and a lot of defense to offense, a lot of points in transition. Their net ratings at a plus 8.7. Their true shooting percentage after 5 games sits at 62%, and their pace is at 103 possessions per game. So they are defeating teams on the efficiency battles, and that's how they are winning and closing out their games. They've had some big performances from a lot of their key players, including Josh Giddey had the big signing over the offseason. So happy that things are working out for him in Chicago. He had 32 points on uh, the last game against the Knicks on Halloween. He's averaging 19.8 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, and 7.8 assists. Early on this season, he's shooting 48%, including just right under 47.4 from three. So, yeah, the efficiency starts with him, I guess. And wow, like it's crazy to think that Josh Giddey could potentially be someone who averages or close to average as a triple double per game. But that's how it's looking early on this season. Vucevic has been looking good so far this season. 19.8 points per game, not similar to Josh Giddey. 59% from the field, 9.2 defensive rebounds per game, is creating lots of spacing for this team. Kevin Herter has been looking great, maybe less efficient from three to start out because I don't know. He's usually pretty high. I didn't look it up, but he's at 33% from three, at 55% from the field, and shooting 89% from the line. Great addition to that team for sure. The Sumu is shooting 58% from the field. Miles Buzelis is shooting right now 48% from 3-point range. So Buzelis definitely in my, I have to say, top 10 young players to be watching right now. So yeah, I just gotta lock in. I gotta watch this team more. Very exciting, very exciting. I like Trey Jones in this team. Patrick Williams is giving them um, good options on both ends of the floor. So very excited to see if this team can hold up. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna hold up as the first place team, but pretty exciting for sure. So this is a young team that has the modern pace and space movement. It's very even across the board with scoring. I don't know if there's any. I don't think there's any player that is actually averaging 20 points per game on a team that started out 5-0. Elite ball movement, balance scoring. Balance is the word that I'm looking for. I was searching for. Improves rotations on defense for sure, and we'll see how they hold up. 'Cause I think as they are playing tonight, I think they're missing Kobe White, Zach Collins, Julian Phillips, Iota Sunmu. So that might not hold up. They might lose tonight, but still, best start for this team in 29 years. hopefully heading back to the playoffs for them. So I mentioned all of the stats, and I think that I want to move on. Let's see if they can adapt and get more contributions from some other young players on their team, especially as they have some injuries that other teams might take advantage of. huge performances early on. 8.2 assists, 4.8 rebounds, 40% from three, 89% from the line, 31% usage this season so far. It's way, way up. 9.6 net rating, way up. Just yeah, 240 plus point games already this season. So it's not random, Tyrese Maxey. Or yeah, it's not random at all. It's a culmination of things. It's a culmination of hard work and development and having a team that is a bit more focused around you and is giving you control on the offense when Embiid is not on the floor. VJ Edgecombe, rookie, 24.3 points per game, 6 assists, 54% from the field, 45% from three, and for example, was a plus 16 net rating against the Magic recently. So is just being dominant in some of these games early on. Not sure if we've seen a rookie start this good in a really long time. Leave a comment. Let me know who it compares to. Quentin Grimes, 17.3 points per game, 47, for almost 48% from 3-point uh, range, and is offering instant floor spacing and a rhythm shooter on this team. Kelly Oubre Jr. has been looking good, 44% from three. What's going on this season? His efficiency is just way, way up. Andre Drummond has been looking decent, I guess. Yeah, offering positives to their rebound metrics. So, I would like to see them just move on entirely when they address their interior. But hey, okay, whatever, whatever. We're moving on. We're more focused on um, why they should look at moving Embiid. So Embiid has had 17.2 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3.8 assists, averaging just 22 minutes per game. So if you look at his adjusted uh, whatever it is, his 36 minutes per game, whatever I'm trying to say, it's not bad. And when he's on the floor, his usage rate is at 33%, which is still extremely high, even higher than when Tyrese Maxey is on the floor. His net ratings at a negative 7.3. It's the team worst when he's on the court. And overall, he's having fewer post ups this season, more pick and pop threes, just more trying to score on the outside. Only 5 free throws per game, so less physical play. Again, I think he will improve as the season goes on. Hopefully, with no other health or no other injuries go on. Still like Embiid a lot. I've always liked his character. I think when he is healthy, he can put on some of the best performances we see in modern basketball. But is he evolving more into a finesse player, or is that just an adjustment based on how he's feeling right now? I think Philly still competes whether or not they keep this core, but why not take advantage of it now? Why not look at VJ Edgecombe and say, hey, we might be ahead of schedule on this, and let's trust that process and make that move? I hope that if it were to ever happen, I hope that it is not extremely toxic. It might be toxic with Embiid a little bit, but I think, there can be trades where it works out good for everyone. And as an NBA fan, that's always the best for me. When we saw Tyrese Halliburton come over to Indiana, and that was a really positive trade. Um, just ones like that, for sure. We mentioned Josh Giddey on the Bulls, Alex Caruso. That was a positive trade. Embiid is making 55 million this season. Next to that is Paul George making 51.7. Tyrese Maxey is after that making 38 million. 145 million combined between the three is about 75% of their overall payroll. They're already over the first tax option. They are pretty close to the second apron. For the 28-29 year, Embiid would be making 67 million. So no doubt, if you're looking at trading Embiid, it might be difficult as far as figuring out the money and with this new CBA, making sure that the money matches up. Um, and Zim already being at the first tax apron, it's going to be limited as far as what teams you can maybe deal with. But I think there are teams out there, plenty of teams out there that would at least look at it for Joel Embiid. Of course. Paul George, his deal runs through the age of 27. His final option is at 57 million, and Maxey's 5-year, $204 million deal just kicked in. So, hey, a VJ Edgecombe could be up at an extension in what in 2 years. Yeah, take advantage of it now. Uh, who would be harder to move? Paul George, Joel Embiid? Not sure, but I'm not well, it's pretty obvious this team could not, in the long run, stay together financially. But nah, that's more in the long run. I'm talking about this year. I'm talking about early on this year, what I think should be happening. So I think, yeah, I think we move on. There are limited trade partners, but certainly a lot of teams that would look at trading for the potential of having Joel Embiid on their team. Next up, let's talk about the player that I think is in the news the most. That's not anything different for this player, whether it's positive or negative. And if you've guessed correctly, you probably know by now, it's John Morant, and it's the Memphis Grizzlies. They played today, and John Morant served his 1 game suspension today. He was suspended by the team 1 game for conduct detrimental to team after their loss to the Lakers. Um, he spoke to the press. I guess it was pretty quickly after the game was over before anyone else could address it. Uh, Basically saying, go ask the coaching staff, asking what happened in that game. He had 0 points in his 16 minutes after halftime. There was footage being like shared on Twitter of him like being like walking away from the bench during timeouts. I don't look at that too much. Like NBA, you see a lot of different things on TV during timeouts. So either way, 0 points, second half. That's it. So was suspended just this 1 game, at least. That's what that's as far as we know. And they lost their last game 117 to 112. This, of course, comes after other behavioral issues with John Morant. In 2023, he had an 8 game suspension and then a 25 game ban or suspension, which overall was, of course, 33 games missed and over $8 million in salary that he lost. Was fined 75,000 for on-court gestures last season. Has had concerns around, I don't know if we call it discipline. I wouldn't call it maturity, 'cause that's me projecting too much alignment to the team culture, whatever it might be. And I think John Morant, while being in the news more than anyone, is the most fascinating player when you think about what you should do for this player. And I have Grizzlies fans in my life. I used to, I lived in St. Louis. We used to go out for games 2 times a year, and I think that very small market has fans that are very in tune and locked in with that team. And it's hard for me to kind of figure out what the normal, average, everyday fan would want from the Memphis Grizzlies because there's a disconnect there. I think there's fans who really like Ja Morant, maybe more like me, like really like him. He's one of the most exciting players to watch when he's having a good game. He's great for NBA culture, or he's at least a positive when it comes to NBA culture. He's a positive when it comes to your city. He brings a lot of money to your city. At the same time, if you're a fan whose number one goal is your team winning and winning a championship, which would also be me, um, you're just not too sure whether Ja Morant is the one that gets you there, especially when the other player around him, like Jaren Jackson, is someone that you've seen. Like you've seen that duo in the playoffs before, and it didn't work before. The team looks different now, but maybe it's best to move on. It's tough because also that John Morant's team around him thinks that he's a max player. When the contract negotiations come around for an extension, how much of a disconnect is between the franchise and John Morant and his team? Because how do you feel about max contracts? Should those be reserved for players like those top three, top five, maybe top 10 players in the league? Players like SGA, okay, like he won you a championship. Players like Jokic, multiple MVPs won you a championship. I understand that. Players like Giannis has won you a championship playing at MVP level this season. I get that. But where do you go with this player if his team is saying, well, he's your best option, he's your star, he's your guy? We're going to start at the highest amount that we can at the Supermax. Where does it go from there? So, do you want something in return for him before it gets to that point? Before it gets to the time where you're talking about extensions? And is there going to be anything else that happens with this player um, before that happens? Let's get more into talking about the overall team play. So, through the 6 games, yes, the 6 games so far this season, Morant is averaging 20.8 points per game on 41% from the field, 15.6% from 3, the opposite of players we've talked about so far, 6.7 assists. Efficiency is down, numbers are solid, they're not at the all NBA level you want him to be, especially with his usage being at 30.7. So, yeah, poor three-point consistency, missed scoring opportunities in crucial moments for this team, and has high leverage minutes sometimes that do not result, do not have results. I'll say so. Grizzlies have lost games without Morant being the focal leader, like the leading scorer. So it suggests that maybe the Grizzlies should kind of look elsewhere, considering that you have a star player that is getting paid a lot. And I think teams might be interested in. It is tough though. I mean, I just spent about 5 minutes talking about um, the dilemma with John Morant and why it's so interesting, so captivating. It's hard to say which teams um, would be interested in a player that could bring so much to a team and a city and if he locks in and he focuses and he's healthy, he could be a star player on your team, a first option. We'll see. We'll see. But do you want to also sign up for the John Morant experience, just like we talked about? John Morant's making just below 40 million this year, 39.4. He'll be making just below 45 million next, or I'm sorry, in 2027. So the last year of his contract. So he has 2 years after this. Overall, including all of this season, he has 126.5 million guaranteed. A lot. A lot. Not nearly as much as you're looking at when you're looking at extension talks, perhaps this offseason, but it's a lot when you're thinking about what teams are signing up for it. Jaren Jackson Jr. Comparison is making 35 million this season. He is at 186.5 million guaranteed throughout the next 4 seasons. And together, Jaron Jackson and John Morant is 41% of this year's payroll. So it's a significant cap commitment for a pairing that we've seen already. Of course, they've um, maybe have grown together, have more continuity. Have they improved? We'll see. But is it enough to get you um, into winning the West? Because that would be the next step for them. It's if they make it to the playoffs and lose, then they're right back to where they were, and the West has not gotten worse in these past few years. It's only gotten better. So it's a long road ahead for this team, but why not move on now? Don't think that the Grizzlies are in the same place as a team like the Sixers we just talked about, where if they were to move on from John Morant, they've already moved on from Desmond Bain. Uh, they are not looking at a title contending team right away, but it could still be a really fun team to watch. And again, you might want to trust the process on this team. You could get a good return for John Morant. You're not going to lose him for nothing in a few years. It Who knows if there's any other injuries or suspensions that go on with him. I won't speculate there. And while you might not have a star player right away to back that up, you certainly have young players that NBA fans are going to enjoy watching. Cedric Howard this season so far, 15.5 points per game, 59% from the field, 52% from three. Oh my God. Plus 12.7 net rating when he's on the floor. Probably like Santi Aldama, 10.3 points per game, 8 rebounds per game. Cam Spencer's at like 7.7 points per game, but is shooting 48% from three. Very uneven efficiency across the board on this team. So why not take the time to rebuild? You have exciting young players now. You could get assets, draft picks, and young players back, and just see maybe you get into the lottery this season, or yeah, I mean, you could go for the play-in, but depends on what you want to do. You have other players, Jalen Wells, Jacques Landale, Javon Small, who I've never mentioned on this podcast before. Uh, I think it is time to do it. And again, uh, this is not to talk bad about John Morant. I'm really trying to be careful because honestly, John Morant, Joel Embiid, first two players I've brought up are two players that I like watching a lot. I do see the Grizzlies as kind of like my home away from home franchise sometimes. It's just a short drive from my hometown. And I love seeing what this new era of the Grizzlies were after the grit and grind, the Mike Conley, the Zebo, all of that, Marcus All. But it could be a positive for John Morant as well. It's going to lead me into the next player I talk about. because maybe a new setting for Ja Morant is a positive, or a different system or a different culture. Maybe that's just better for him. And in that case, it's better for me as a fan, and it's just better off for the league. All right, let's move on. So, speaking of players that I like, and speaking of players that I think should go into different cultures, here's the one that I've been talking about for half of his career so far. And it's no surprise. It leads perfectly from John Morant. It's one of the other players in that 2019 draft class. And it was also someone who played AAU basketball with John Morant. Of course, I'm talking about Zion Williamson, and I'm talking about the Pelicans, who are 0 and 5. Are they playing right now? Are they? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Okay. And they're playing the Thunder. So 0 and 6, I guess. They're 0 and 6 to start this season. Winless start. In the first 5 games, they saw a negative 15.6 point differential, scoring just 108 points per game while allowing 123.6. Bottom 10 offense, bottom 10 defense. Defensive rating 121.4, team pace at 99.2 with 14.6 turnovers per game and just 21 assists per game. So, low on the low end of everything when it comes to turnovers and offense. Shooting just 41% from the field, 32% from 3 and 40 or 77% from the free throw line. Um there is high mid-range usage for this team, low pull-up efficiency, pull-up percentage at 33%. Opponents are shooting 50% from the field against them. But they are defending the three well at 33%. So there's one positive for you. So a lot of it's coming on the interior or inside the 3-point line, allowing a lot of points and just a very rough start for this team. So why not trade Zion Williamson now? And yeah, I talked about it last season. I'm sure I wrote about it or tweeted about it the season before is that. Um, of course, like he's like John Moran. So many similarities with the same draft class. They pretty much grew up together. They were uh, both South Carolina, I think so. But anyways, yeah, so many comparisons because the most some of the most exciting players to watch when they're healthy and when they're playing well, but two players that I really think would benefit from being in a completely different system and culture altogether. And wouldn't that be great? Maybe Zion Williamson could go to a contender right away. And I'm less sure about who or what team is interested in him. He's also a player that gets paid a lot, will be up for an extension, uh, probably has people around him who thinks he's worth a lot for a team, yet his availability is even more of a question than, well, one of the biggest questions in the league, I'll say, um, because he has missed the entire season. He's missed lots of games in the past. Other than that, Pelicans did make some really interesting moves this offseason. They traded their 23rd pick and their 2026 unprotected first to get Derek Queen at 13th. They traded CJ McCollum for Jordan Poole. So they added more salary or salary burden, but also reduce their flexibility in the future. With that being said, I think Jordan Poole could be a solid player for this team. Whether or not you're moving on from Zion Williamson, I think this is a rebuilding team. So, also with that being said, Since you are going to be in a rebuild, most likely, move on from him. See what the options are before you get in talks about another extension for him. So, a lot of high salary players on a team that is just not winning in a super, super difficult Western Conference. We'll see if Willie Green stays for the season. I could see them making adjustments there. Zion Williamson for the season is averaging 32 minutes per game, and on that is at right at 24 points per game on 49% from the field, 6.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists. He's at a negative 2.8 on his plus minus, and his net rating is a minus 4.7 when he's on the floor. Um, Not great at a 30% usage rate. Um, Defensive rating is much better when he's on the floor at 112.6, but the offense still just isn't there. It's still a net negative offense to defense when he's on the floor. It's just a little bit better, of course. He's making $39.4 million this year as part of a 5-year, $193 million extension. He's guaranteed 126.5 through the 28-29 season. So he would be up for extension this offseason, next offseason. Trade him before you get there. Yeah. Before he leaves for nothing or um is or, right away, maybe see, he'll put up some good performances this season and then see which teams are looking towards the playoffs. It might be more of a player you look at trading towards the trade deadline. But why not? I think he would be better on a different team, and I would love to see Zion Williamson play in a different system on a playoff team. As long as he's healthy and everything, of course. Jordan Poole's been decent this season, I would say. I mean, they're not winning games with him, but he is averaging 19.8 points per game, 39% from 3-point line. His net rating's horrible, but that's kind of the same with most players on this team. Trey Murphy, the third is averaging 13.6 points per game, 30% from three, 6.8 rebounds. Uh, for sure, a versatile wing. Versatility has been the key for this Pelicans team. I just think I think you've gotten as far as you can, and then made some offseason moves that I think a lot of fans weren't too sure about. Um, yeah, so you do have some young players that you can focus around. I think you can get a decent return of young players and assets, and you're looking at a rebuild no matter what. So let's move on from him and let's see him on a different system overall. So we'll see what this team does. Again, they lost to the Thunder today. It's going to be very, very tough in the West. So my transition to my last player is that I've been talking for few seasons about why Zion Williamson should go to a different team. And similar to my last player, it's Lauri Markkanen and the Utah Jazz. I've been saying for a while I'd like to see Lauri Markkanen on a contending team. Of course, we saw the Jazz finally pull the rug and tank last season after many seasons of just being right in the middle and winning these crazy matchups sometimes and just winning games when they might have should have been losing games. They finally had a season where they were in the lottery last season. And Lauri Markkanen is one of my favorite players to watch, I would say. I would say that, but I did not watch them as much last season. And they are at a 2-3 start. Did they play tonight? It seems like every team I'm talking about plays tonight. Oh, they do. They're playing right now. Well, it's good I did this segment. So they are 2-3 to start, and they are playing the Hornets right now. Um, and let's see what else. They are averaging 120.2 points per game, 45% from the field, 33% from the 3-point line, and 84% from the free throw line. Did I say that correctly? uh, 50.8 rebounds per game, including 16 offensive rebounds per game. That's got to be up at the top. 28.6 assists to 19 turnovers. They are at a slightly negative net rating at negative zero point 0.4. Offensive rating is decent at 115.6. Defensive rating is in the lower half at 116. This is a team that I'm not sure what they're going to try to do this season because the West, again, is so difficult. And uh, they could look towards the lottery this season when the draft looks like it might be very good, and they might look at rebuilding more because if this team tries to shoot for a play-in spot, a 9 or 10 spot, how far are they going even if they make it into the first round? So, don't really know what the Jazz are intending to do this season. I just know that I would love to see Lauri Markkanen on some team that is for sure going to be in the playoffs, whether that's in the East, in the West. Oh, as you've seen this episode, I'm not making any speculations on where these players should be going. Not getting into that. All I'm saying is trade him, put him somewhere, put him somewhere for a team that's gonna, try to win this season. I'd love to see that. Uh, the Jazz, um, seen a few of their games live. Haven't been paying attention to them as much, but has some really exciting player development. Always seems like it's always happening. Ace Bailey, Cody Williams, Taylor Hendricks, all these young players for the Jazz that are adjusting to NBA players. Keontae George, Alex Sarr. So, in the meantime, if you're not competing for a championship, or maybe at the most you're competing for a play-in spot, why not focus on your young core? And why not see what you can get for Laurie Markin in the meantime, especially when his selling point might be high. So his start has been historic. Excuse me. 34.7 points per game and 50% from the field. That was in his first 3 games, excuse me. And then he had a 51 point, 14 rebound game versus the Suns. It's the first 50-point game for the Jazz since Karl Malone, which I didn't realize. Like, I would have guessed Donovan Mitchell. So I don't know. I guess not a serious NBA fan, I guess. So, with his start, I had to, and I talked about him being traded last season. I had to put him as one of the top players I'd love to see on a team that is going to be productive. And the Jazz are going to want to sell high. I think you could get a lot of young assets for Laurie Markkinen, and it could be a great ending. It doesn't have to be a bad ending to this relationship. I think Jazz fans are going to be remembering him very fondly of his time in Utah because his improvement when he got to Utah is evident from before he ended up there. He's making 46.4 million this year, and in 28-29 we'll be making 53.5 million. Fully guaranteed beginning this season is 195.9 million. It's a lot of payroll to lock up, but um, it is it is at a point where I think there are teams that could realistically make a trade for him. Um, I think they're below both tax aprons, the Jazz. So, there's more flexibility than the other 3 players. There's less questions about him, less questions about availability, and, he's also not a player where you're gonna look at him being like your star player or like your face of the franchise. Um, he's most likely being looked at by teams that are going to put him next to a star player or another star player. Could be the Lakers. Do the Lakers have enough money? I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, it'll be the one time I bring up that team today. He's only 28 years old. He's productive. He's versatile. I think he's right in the prime right now of his career. He's put up huge performances these past few seasons. And his market value since the season started has only gone up. So, for sure, if you're a team that needs spacing, needs a stronger front court, needs better shooting in your front court, needs a possible replacement at your power forward position, Lauri Markkanen should be a player that you're looking out for and thinking, does your team have room for it? Especially if your team is going to be in the playoffs this season. So we'll see what Danny Ainge does. We know that he is super patient with his players, but trading him now could unlock cap space, could give you draft assets and even more young players to work with. It's gives them a lot of options for a flexible and competitive rebuild, competitive sooner rather than later. Patience is the key for this team, and patience has probably been the key um, as a Jazz fan for its history. But I think this is all positive. So I hope today because I really all 4 players that I mentioned are players that I like. They're players that I could realistically see on other teams, some more than others. But I do think we do see star players get moved before the trade deadline. I don't know if there are any of the 4 that I brought up, but there are some others that I'm looking at as well. So let's leave it there. Yes, thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment, help out with the algorithm. That's all I ask of you. I'll be back next week with some more NBA talk. Follow the Side Panel Network for all of our other podcasts and projects. And thank you so much. See you next time.